Welcome inside another episode of the Sherwood Park Crusaders pregame show. My name is Zach Marks. Please be bringing you this one from inside the Randy Rosen Rink here in Sherwood Park, Alberta, where in just a couple hours' time, the Sherwood Park Crusaders will play host to the Spruce Grove Saints. Now both these teams are coming off wins over the Fort McMurray Oil Barons in their last contest. Sherwood Park a 4-1 win last night against the Oil Barons. That saw Seamus Campbell score a pair on the power play. Cade Christensen from the blue line with an even strength marker, his 7th of the season. And Luke Lisco's 17th of the year, putting things out of reach for the Crusaders last night. Meanwhile, the Spruce Grove Saints went to overtime on Friday night against the Oil Barons. It was Liam Watkins scoring his 4th consecutive game-winning goal for the Saints as they pushed their win streak up to 11 games, dating all the way back to the end of January. Now this will be the 4th matchup of the season between these two teams. Sherwood Park 1-0 at home, a 4-3 win in this home opener this season. Meanwhile, Spruce Grove have won both games at the Grant Fuhr Arena by 5-3 scorelines, most recently back on December 30th. So just under 2 full months between games for these cross-town rivals as the Suburb Series re-engages. 3 out of the last 4 for both these sides against one another starting here this afternoon at the Randy Rosen Rink. Spruce Grove comes in with a record of 45-7-2-2, leaving them far and away in first place in the North Division. Meanwhile, Sherwood Park 32-18-3-3, which has them in 4th place. They continue to chase the Bonneville Pontiacs and the Whitecourt Wolverines for 3rd and potentially even 2nd place in the North. Currently 3 points back of the Pontiacs with 2 games in hand and 5 points back of the Wolverines with just a single game in hand on Whitecourt. Now let's head to the pregame interview with head coach Evan McFeeters and how he felt his team performed last night against the Oil Barons and what to expect out of today's matchup with the Saints. Joined now on the Crusaders pregame show by head coach Evan McFeeters, having a 4-1 win over the Fort McMurray Oil Barons last night. What did you make of your team's performance?
I thought it was a good, well-rounded game by our group last night. Contributions from everyone that was in the lineup last night, and it was good to see our special teams strike and stay hot there. And I thought we gave up really little, or not much at all for the opposition. And what they did was one and dones, and we were able to transition pucks quickly. So I was really pleased with their performance last night. But as I mentioned yesterday, it's about turning the page and moving on from last night's game because we know who our opponent is tonight. We know how good they are.
You mentioned the rivalry between the Mob and the Crew yesterday. Now you transition into the rivalry with the Saints. What have you learned about that in your first season here in Sherwood Park, and what are you expecting out of Spruce Grove today?
I mean, this one I'm more familiar with. Like, the Spruce has been Spruce for over a decade here, and just for us, we haven't played them. We played them in some weird times. We played in the first 2 games of the year. We beat them in our home opener. They beat us in their home opener. And then we played right out of the Christmas break in a game that we were down early. We came back and tied it, and then they scored in the last 2 minutes to take a lead. So it was a tight hockey game there. And then we got 3 games out of our next 4 to end the season against them. So there probably isn't so much any sort of, like bad blood or anything like that between teams yet, just because it's been so many days since our last games against them. And even last year, these teams only played a few times in the regular season, and they're definitely separated in the standings. So we haven't felt that with this group of players yet, but you understand there's some history between these guys and cross-city rivals, but I don't know if that's going to really play into the game today. I think both teams are just prepping for playoffs.
You mentioned the last time these two teams met up, December 30th, almost 2 months ago. How has your team grown since then?
Oh, just we've grown in so many different ways. Like, if you go back and through our whole season, like we don't know who we really are starting in September, coming out of training camp. We got a new coaching staff, a ton of roster turnover, trying to implement a lot of new things within our culture and our environment in our dressing room, let alone on the ice and our style of play. And then we kind of hit a pretty good groove in October, and then we get decimated by injuries to an extent I haven't really seen before at this level of hockey, with 9 guys out at once and through November. So you don't really know who we are. We've had a lot of highs and lows, but coming out of the Christmas break, it's all about our short-term goals we set in our dressing room. We've been able to check a bunch of those off, and the one that we mentioned last night in our conversation, Zach, was we're in a hunt for 3rd place, and tonight's another opportunity for us to get 2 points.
Of course, with today's roster, you're a man short, just like we were last night. Back-to-back situation, less than 24 hours between games. Is there a concern about roster management heading down the stretch here?
No, we can't be too concerned with that. Our guys have to be mature athletes and take care of themselves outside the rink, so when they go into the competition that they can play at the best of their ability. So making sure that they sleep the proper way, that they eat the right things. We put them in a good routine here, and then it's our responsibility to be mature athletes on that. And then for us, it's our job as a coaching staff to put our players in positions for success. And the ice time was very, fair last night in terms of getting zone starts and maybe some extra reps for the guys that were going well. So I think we got a full healthy group of 19 players that are going to be in the lineup tonight, and they should have their legs from last night.
You got Spruce Grove, one of the hottest teams in town here this afternoon. What's the game plan heading into this one?
Well, they've been the hottest team in the last 10 years in the North Division. So the game plan is to understand who they are and who their best players are, and they have a lot of them. I mean, we're placing a team here with, I guess their number one forward has 75 points. Look at our team. We got our number one forward's got 50 points. Their number one center, World Junior A, number one center. Plays in all situations. He's played in this league for over 100 games. Their number one D-man's probably the best defenseman in the entire league, or maybe in Western Canada. So this is one of the best teams that you'll face in the country here. And on paper, I mean, the last 10 years is any indication, they should beat every team anytime they come into the building. So we got to make sure we're on our toes tonight, and we have I feel, a good plan in place and an understanding of how they're going to play it. But I'm really confident in our group, the way we've been playing here. We're like you mentioned before, like how much our team has grown. We're a way different team than they saw us in December and even in September here. I think we got a good hockey club, and we can really go after teams by committee, whether it's the Howard line or if it's the Lisco line. You look at the contributions of the Buttinger line, and then you got Monroe line with 3 points last night. Any night we got guys that can step up to the plate, and tonight we're going to need all 4 lines and our 5 defensemen that are in the lineup and our goaltender.
All right, thanks for this, Coach. Good luck today.
Thanks, Zach.
And that'll do it for another episode of the Sherwood Park Crusaders pregame show. Puck drop is 2 p.m. right here at the Sherwood Park Arena. If you can make it out, you can get your tickets at tickets.sherwoodparkcrusaders.ca or at the door when you get here. If you can't make it out, I will have the call on Hockey TV at about 1:55 Mountain Time. For all of us in the Crusaders organization, we appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you at puck drop.